The sky was overcast with heavy clouds. It was an afternoon where the air pressure made my head feel heavy, and I let out an unconscious sigh. I decided to take a break, holding the chocolate and coffee I had bought from the store, and sat on the bench in the backyard. There, I noticed a group that seemed to be medical interns. To my surprise, they were littering in the bushes and were about to walk away. "Hey, you guys." As they turned to look at me, they smirked.
What's with that outfit? A nurse? You need something?
"Look here. This is a hospital, you know. Do you think it's okay to throw trash?"
That's hilarious. What's this lowly older woman saying? We came here from a prestigious medical school, you know?
They may aspire to be doctors, but their attitudes are rotten.
We have bright futures ahead of us, ma'am. Maybe you can be of help by picking up our trash.
That's funny. If the strict hospital director saw this, it'd be bad.
It's all good. We only care about the big shots. Especially not an old woman in a nurse's outfit.
I couldn't stand looking at the littered bushes, so I picked up the trash right in front of them. I decided to let them in on a little secret. My name is Catherine Smith. I'm 43 years old and have reasons to be helping out as a nurse. Getting married? Probably. Not in the cards for me. I've always been told I'm strong-willed. The boys I liked were afraid of me, and at singles party, I was often told I seemed too dominant. In other words, I'm like a lone wolf, strong and not the type to attract men. Especially since, given my work environment, I despise weak men. They're definitely not my type.
You like younger guys, don't you, Catherine?
My high school classmate, and currently working in the same place as a nurse, Mrs. Jennifer offered her a cup of coffee. It was her fault that I ended up working as a nurse. Well, she was the reason I started. What are you talking about?
About that singles party thing.
What? I'm done with those. It's always a swing and a miss. Plus, I'm not interested in younger guys. If they're even my age and too soft, it's a no-go.
Maybe it's because they are the same age, right? Maybe you'd be more forgiving with someone younger.
Nope. A big no from me. I was growing tired of her comments when there was a noise at the door.
Oops.
That noisy voice. I knew who it was without even looking. It was Jason, a certified natural disaster. He's also a nurse and 3 years younger. He's always making a ruckus. What happened now? Despite saying that, part of me was always excited about whatever commotion he was causing. So I left my barely touched coffee and opened the door to the break room. I saw a torn paper bag and scattered pastries.
Oh no, Miss Smith, how was your day?
Jennifer peeked over my shoulder.
You've outdone yourself this time.
I got these treats from various people, but it seems like the bag got caught on the doorknob.
Thankfully, the pastries were individually wrapped, and the box of sweets was still intact. Why is there always some kind of incident with you? Just yesterday, he knocked over a pile of files with his elbow, and the day before, he made a fuss over missing glasses, which turned out to be in his shirt pocket.
I'm sorry. I always try to be careful.
He's definitely not boyfriend material. But his quirky personality made him popular, especially among older women. They doted on him. Whenever he'd go out on his rounds, he'd come back with both hands full of treats. Why don't you just decline if you don't need it?
Well, you can't say that. There are people looking forward to giving it. Receiving is part of the job.
He showed a sharp look from behind his glasses. His eyebrows were thick, but his eyes were light brown. He gave off an unreliable vibe, but there was a hint of inner strength. Speaking of which, it seems we'll have interns starting tomorrow.
Oh, really? Is it that time already? I'm not thrilled. I'm pretty shy.
Jason picked up all the snacks and slouched in his chair. Then he grabbed a large cookie and ate it in one bite.
The interns from the year before last were the worst. They asked for my email address right away and tried to get too close.
That's probably because the girls liked you, Jason. You are quite handsome.
It's not all about looks. That's rude.
Jason, taking one snack after another, was dreading the next day. There were 4 interns in total. All of them were guys this year. John, Robert, Mike, and Charles. Nursing assistants don't usually interact much with interns, but they do have business discussions frequently.
It's a bit of a busy time to have you join us.
After the interns came to introduce themselves, Jennifer, Jason, and I tried to match their faces and names by writing their characteristics on a whiteboard. It would be easier to remember if we had their photos, Jason said, scratching his head. Sure would help to match names and faces beforehand. We will have to interact with them to some extent, after all.
So, Catherine, were you okay?
With what?
Introducing yourself.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just here to help. I'll be leaving this place soon anyway. Jason frowned and looked sad.
That's mean.
It's okay, it's okay. I'm going for a little walk. It had been a hectic day from the morning. I felt like I needed some alone time, so I went to the store and bought some chocolate and coffee. On days like this, I like to have lots of sweets. If not, fatigue would pile up, leading to small mistakes. When I arrived at the backyard, there were already some people in there. The new interns from earlier. They were laughing loudly and boisterously.
This hospital is kind of lame. At my old place, we had VIP rooms, but it seems this hospital doesn't.
We should head back. It's almost time.
One of them threw candy wrappers into the bushes. Hey, that's not cool, you know. Without thinking, I stepped up to confront them.
Who are you?
What was his name again? Although I tried to remember, the name didn't come to mind. Even though they had just introduced themselves and wrote their characteristics on a whiteboard. It seemed he didn't remember me either. It's not surprising since the hospital has many staff members, but it felt lonely that neither made a lasting impression. My name is. I almost revealed my true identity, but held back. I'm a nursing assistant here.
What's the big deal, John? She's just a nursing assistant.
The tallest young man with simple features looked down on me.
Oh yeah, those clothes. Hey, listen up. We're the elite future of medicine. Watch your mouth or you'll regret it.
See you later, old lady. Pick up that trash over there, will ya?
They erupted in unpleasant laughter.
We were told to watch out for the strict dean like a demon before coming to this hospital, but she seems to be absent. This hospital's nothing special.
Yeah, let's get going.
As they began to walk away quickly, I threw a picked-up soda can at one of their feet.
Hey, how are you gonna make it right if my suit gets dirty? Cut it out.
You think a nursing assistant can act this defiant? I'll report you to the dean.
They shot me contemptuous glances. It's horrifying to think that such cold-hearted individuals are entering a profession where they'll be entrusted with lives. What have these kids learned from their parents or schools? That university has many wealthy students, but these interns are by far the most sheltered I've seen.
Miss Smith! Miss Smith!
While I was staring down the interns, Mr. Barnes came running, out of breath. He had some documents in his hand.
There you are. You weren't in the nursing office, so I was looking all over for you. Please sign these. They're due today.
Perfect timing, Mr. Barnes. I have something to discuss.
The one earlier referred to as Mike with curly hair approached Mr. Barnes and pointed at me.
This old nursing assistant is quite rude. Please reprimand her.
You.
Mr. Barnes sternly lowered Mike's pointing finger and shouted.
The rude one is you. Calling her an old nursing assistant.
The dean's absent, so she's getting cocky.
You see, kid?
Mr. Barnes adjusted his glasses with an exasperated look.
That dean. She's standing right in front of you.
What?
One of the interns spat out and glared. Enough of this crap. So I silently took off my nursing assistant badge and showed my actual badge.
This is Miss Catherine Smith, the genuine dean.
Catherine Smith. The interns repeated my name in a deflated tone. Some were flustered, some nervously touching their hair, clearly under immense stress. You guys called me the strict dean like a demon earlier, didn't you? Future elite doctors can't even remember their superior's name. You're quite naive. Just kids.
Are you serious?
They couldn't take their eyes off the badge.
Due to a shortage of nursing staff, she volunteered to help until new hires arrived.
Thanks to that, I had a chance to observe you closely. If I had been in my dean's attire, maybe I'd have overlooked you guys. You all seem to have decent exteriors. Now I'll get back to my work. It felt refreshing. As I returned to the hospital with a stretch, the sun began to set. Here, sorry for the wait. I reviewed the documents Mr. Barnes had asked for, signed them, and he looked greatly relieved.
I was really concerned for a moment.
Concerned about what?
About what happened earlier.
It seemed Jennifer and Jason overheard Mr. Barnes as they approached my desk with intrigued looks.
What happened earlier?
It's okay, it's okay. It's not a big deal.
Oh my?
Jason bumped his leg against the desk and spilled coffee on his clothes. Really? Why are you always like this? I couldn't help but laugh. If everyone were like him, they'd be endearing, and I just want to help them out. I was honestly surprised to find myself developing feelings of admiration for boys like him. I would have found that type of guy annoying in the past. He's unreliable and not very manly. I guess my taste has. No, I can't think like that. He's a colleague, and more importantly, I'm sure an older woman like me isn't his type. Trying not to let on that she was slightly flustered, Catherine offered him a handkerchief. But he returned with such a pure and unclouded smile that she had to look away.
Oh, I guess I forgot to mention that you are helping out here. It must have been quite a surprise for them to find out you're the Dean of Medicine all of a sudden, right?
Yes, they seem quite shaken. They're probably reevaluating everything now, realizing the person they underestimated is actually someone they shouldn't mess with.
Speaking of which, we have interviews coming up soon. Everything seems fine on paper, so I'd like to hire them, and then I'll send Catherine back to you. Unless, of course, she wants to stay here permanently.
Jennifer looked at Jason and me with a mischievous grin on her face.
That would be problematic. It gets quite challenging without the Dean of Medicine. Please return her as soon as possible.
He sorted out some papers, shook hands, and left the room.
Did you want to be transferred from the medical department over to here, Catherine?
His eyes sparkled like an excited puppy. His joy was palpable. For someone with little romantic experience like me, his gaze was almost dangerously intoxicating. It wouldn't be surprising if I mistakenly thought he had feelings for me. He radiated pure innocence.
Well, it's up to her.
What? Don't be ridiculous. I'm the Dean of Medicine, remember. If I moved here, I'd be working under you, and I don't want that. I tried to play it cool.
Well, if you really want, I could give you a fancy title or something.
Jennifer replied, clearly enjoying herself. Her excitement for her best friend's budding romance was contagious, especially since the man in question is her junior. It was an amusing and intriguing love story. She couldn't help but be a nosy Parker, and she was keen to make this relationship work. Anyway, please hire someone new soon. I want to get back to my usual self as soon as possible.
All right, got it.
It was a peaceful evening. The company of the three was very comfortable. As we were wrapping up our tasks, a knock sounded on the door. Jason, do you have a moment? When Jennifer asked, Jason nodded and approached the door. Who could it be? Oh my. Startled, he retreated quickly back to us after seeing who was at the door.
It's not good. It's the interns. They look really angry. They're here for revenge.
He seemed panicked, trembling behind me. Revenge. That sounds a bit dramatic. I'll go check it out. If something happens, contact the medical department immediately. I hesitantly opened the door and saw 4 serious-looking individuals. What do you want?
Dean? Good evening, ma'am. Please take this.
They presented me with some high-end confections. Well, that's the limited edition one. Jason exclaimed, visibly excited.
Starting tomorrow, we'll rededicate ourselves to our training. Goodbye.
Leaving their message, they quickly departed. Hey, no running in the hospital, she shouted. Sorry, a regretful voice echoed back.
A turn of events.
Who knows? I'm not sure. Finally, the long day was ending. I passed the luxurious suites to Jason and headed to